This video is brought to you by Axis Audio. Hey guys, Jay here. So I was at Expona and got to check out this incredible room with Gauder Akustik's new Largo speakers and Accuphase gear. I just happened to finish my review of the Gauder Akustik Capella 100 speakers right before Expona, and I personally had it with Accuphase gear myself. So I was very interested to visit this room as both Gauder Akustik and Accuphase had some new products to show off this year. Now, however, before you watch this video, I highly recommend that you watch my review of the Capella 100 speakers, where I explain all the technologies and also measure the technologies behind Gauder Akustik, because there's quite a lot to take in. In this video, I got the chance to talk to the designer directly, and I did not let that chance go by. I asked some seriously hard questions, including some of the criticisms that you guys had in the comment section of that video. For example, why not use DSP instead of this extensive bass management system they have going on with Gauder Akustik speakers? So let's hear it from the designer himself. Hey guys, Jay here. So I recently reviewed the Gauder Akustik Capella loudspeakers that you guys were very interested about. And I came to Expona and found Mr. Gauder, who is the designer behind the Capella 100s.
Yeah.
And they actually have a new speaker here for the first time. So it's a gorgeous, what finish is this?
Rosewood.
Rosewood
with
finish.
With piano finish on it.
And I have to tell you, I like this finish. So this, speaker looks very similar to the Capella 100s, but bigger and badder. So I'm interested in some of the, rundown of what the speaker is all about. So, Mr. Gauder, can you tell me a little bit about the drivers used in the speaker?
Yes, we have made some new 8 inches for the bass section and a new mid-range for mids, and the beryllium tweeter as we have in the Capella series too. And so we have a new 3-bass speaker with new drivers, but actually it's always the same. It's the crossover that makes the sound, and it's the crossover that's the most important thing in a loudspeaker.
And I knew that you were going to say that. How did I know? So I was quite surprised to find 56 parts used in the Capella 100s.
Yes.
How many parts is this guy using?
64.
64. So we've gone up.
Yeah.
And all, obviously, Mondorf and Intertechnik high-quality parts.
Yes, always. Mondorf and Intertechnik from Germany, WBT connectors for the terminal. So actually what we can get and do by ourselves we do, but and the other thing, we have some special suppliers in Germany with very, very high quality components, and we use them. So it's just a product really made in Germany.
So why so many parts? Because a lot of companies will be too shy to use that many parts, right? Some audiophile purists might be saying, oh, that's way too many parts, it can't possibly sound good. What do you have to say to those people?
They know nothing about mathematics. They know nothing about physics because, capacitors and inductors, they don't absorb energy or kill energy or destroy energy. They just have what we call a blind impedance. And so that you do not lose any dynamics, you do not lose any energy by making these components, but you give the frequencies to the different drivers just what they can do, what they're made for. And the woofer cannot make a highest, of course not. So let's keep it as separated as possible with very, very steep filters so that the mid-range is only making mids. And of course, this is also beneficial to the power capability of the whole system. Yeah, because the tweeter, just normally if you have a tweeter, it's about power capabilities of 3 or 4 watts. So if you have a good crossover, then the whole system can make more than 500 watts sine power. And that's amazing. You get a lot of energy into the room. With such a speaker, you can play amazingly loud, really loud. And in a high quality with a good precision and with high dynamics. And all those components in the crossovers, they do this perfect thing, and they do not destroy or kill energy or dynamics.
I mean, I think really the proof is in the listening. I was listening to this speaker with my buddy Suwat over there, and we were just saying, if we don't talk about the number of parts in the crossover, we will never guess, right?
Yes. And also here in this system, the crossover has a TDC. That's what we call a time delay control.
Right.
Because a normal crossover is just delaying the low frequencies and the mid frequencies compared to the highs. And then if you make a normal radiation, the tweeter comes first, then the mid-range, and then the woofer. And then your impulse is just like smeared. And you lose your dynamics.
I remember you talking about the impulse response, particularly last year. And I was thinking, you know, what is he talking about? And then I got the Capella 100s, I understood. So, you know, some companies will say that, you know, you can mechanically time align the drivers. You know, you decide to do it in the crossover, and you strongly believe you cannot. Right? Yeah. Can you explain to me a little bit about that? Why not?
Yeah, because if there is a delay of 1 millisecond, that is corresponding to 68 centimeters. So normally you should place the tweeter here to time align with the woofer.
Yeah,
and you see that's impossible. You cannot do that. And that's an electrical phenomenon. The inductors within the crossover, they delay the signal. And if the inductor is very big, like for the woofers, you have a big delay. And so this is an electrical effect. It's in the electrical world. And you have to compensate it in the electrical world, not in the mechanical world. But you have to be able to calculate the delay. You can also measure it, the delay. And then you must find a circuit, which is not that easy to find, to delay in the analog world a signal. It's not digital. It's an analog delay of a signal. That's tricky.
Yeah.
You need some components for that.
Yes.
And you have to have good mathematics for it. And then you must put it into the frequency crossover. And then if it works, you immediately hear it. You immediately hear. And if you have ever heard a speaker with time delay control from me, then you can never ever use another speaker again, because you always think, oh, it sounds good, but it's a little bit lazy. The impulse response, that's what's really all about music. The dynamics, the attacks, just from the snare, from the guitar, also from the voices, and the bass also. If the bass comes in time with the highs, then you immediately hear it. And with any kind of music, jazz, for concert, for even we listened to Karen Carpenter, then the bass drum came exactly with her voice. And that's what's really thrilling about music. That's what it's all about.
And I will agree. Just to kind of explain a little bit further, what he's really talking about is the drivers, they all have like a different arrival time to your listening position. You know, when you time align them in the crossover, essentially all the waveforms you receive at the same time, giving you a better summed response, also allowing you to hear all the frequencies, you know, without having one overbearing the other. So that's what he's doing in the crossover, and that's one of the reasons there's so many parts. But the other reason is the symmetrical crossover. I was very interested about that because not many companies use symmetrical crossovers. They usually go with the asymmetrical crossover.
I know.
So what is the advantage? What is the advantage of symmetrical crossover? How long have you been doing it? Why did you decide to do it?
No, we just made some checks always in the past, and we are now using it since 10 years. And the trick is, normally you have a driver in the middle and the crossover in front. And the driver is directly coupled to the ground of the whole hi-fi system. And then you have a big feedback from the driver to the amplifier. And that's not so very beneficial for the amplifier. We do it different. We have half of the crossover in front of the driver and half of it behind the driver. So the driver's minus pole is not connected to the ground pole. We always separate the minus pole of the driver from the ground. And then there is less feedback. And you decouple it and it plays like it's free.
Very cool. And also you have a lot of bass, you know, adjustability on the speaker. I was quite surprised with the Capella 100s. And I believe this has the same kind of bass control, the plus minus, right?
Yeah.
And then the different modules. Can you explain to me, you know, what made you think, oh, you know, I should do this, right? 'Cause also, a lot of people, not a lot of people, some in the comment section have said, oh, well, I can just do that on the DSP, I can do that in room correction, right? Why go so far to do it in the, you know, actual analog crossover of the speaker itself, they think it's too cumbersome, right? When they can just do it with digital. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I made a video on YouTube all about that. People think that digital room compensation, or what they call it, is really helping. No, it does not. It's just you have the signal processed into the processor, then you make it from analog, like from a turntable here. You just convert it from analog to digital. You make some calculations, you make some errors in the calculation, you have some jitter, you have some delay, and you have some rounding errors. And then back again, you transform it from digital to analog. And if you do it twice, it's what I call an ADAC. It's really killing the information of phase in the analog world. If you do that, the same thing in the analog world, you hear it's much better. Yes, because you can compensate for some room effects. But if you go from analog to digital and back to analog, you lose a lot of information and you make some errors. And then the music sounds a little bit boring. It's not as authentic as it used to be. And also, in digital correction, you have to use the microphone in different points of the room. Mm-hmm. And then they make an average of it. So what's that good for? You sit in one place and you can make the correction for that, but then you have to screw up your head just to be in the same position all the time. And the digital room correction doesn't help. Just imagine, you have a reflection from the floor. It comes to the ear. Yeah, what do you do then? Will you compensate this effect? No, you cannot, because you also have reflections from the sidewalls, from the ceilings. You cannot compensate for this effect. We had the same problem. So about 25 years ago, we had a processor, and we tried to send out a signal which is compensating the effect of the floor, so that the signal, the compensation signal, arrives at your ear when the reflection from the floor comes and cancels. But this correction signal is also reflected by the floor and comes later, so you have to use another correction signal for the correction signal of the floor. And then you always have the third reflection of the correction signal, and so on. So you see, it doesn't make sense. You must have 10 correction signals for one signal, and that doesn't make sense, because you have all the reflections of your room always. So don't believe in digital room compensation. It's just an effect. We had it in the 70s also from equalizers or from reverberation processes, but it's just an effect. You should use the speaker and listen to it in the analog world. And we have these options here. You can choose the level of the woofer for the bass, more or less, and you have the bass extension system with the 6 different modules or 6 different positions, where you can just correct for the roll off. Right. And that's the trick, because the roll off in the low frequencies, that's what normally causes a booming or a humming in the room. And with our modules, you can correct it in the analog world. And it's totally different. You don't need an ADAC for destroying the original signal.
Tell me a little bit about specifically this speaker. How does it differ from the Capella 100s? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we need a little bit more sophisticated time delay control. So we have 4 components more than in the Capella, and it's just a little bit more precise, and that gives really the improvement. We are very, very sensitive to the phase with our ears, and if the phase doesn't work out fine from one driver to the other, then you can hear it. You don't know it, but you hear it. You say, something is not right. And then, if you correct it really perfect, you can measure it with a Melissa system, and then you see, now it's correct. And then you sit down and say, yes, immediately, because we are so sensitive with our ears to phase errors. And the really big thing is that music consists of impulses. We don't have a sine tone, never. We always have attacks. impulses and all these music components, they're just really important. It's the time that is important, not the frequency response.
You know, that's interesting because even though you put a very heavy kind of emphasis on impulse response. I knew that from last year as well. When I interviewed you,
yes.
you were like, impulse response, right? And I found that interesting because when I measured the speakers, I took a look at the impulse response. It was very clean. It was like, I can tell. But also the frequency response was very linear. It was like plus minus 2 dB from mid-range and up. And the off-axis, the horizontal and vertical, were both very impressive. So do you mathematically calculate all this? Do you calculate with software? Like, I know you're a mathematician by trade, if I'm correct.
Actually, it's not software that I use. Yeah. I use a really normal mathematics and algebra. I take a pencil and a piece of paper, and then I write down all the matrices, and then I come up with 48 equations, coupled equations for this speaker, 48 equations, and they're all coupled, so it's really hard to solve that. But if you got the solution, it's an exact solution. It's not an iteration or something like that. No, it's just solving a system of equations, and then you have the exact solution, and you can tell all the Thiele-Small parameters for the drivers. You can tell the size of the cabinet, the volume, and every component in the crossover. And then you set it up, listen to it, measure it. You always have to make some changes because there are some, it's just the life of these diaphragms. They have their own life. They have some resonances and all these things you have to compensate, but that's why you have to sit down and listen with your ears in the end. And this also takes weeks and weeks and weeks. 3-4 people sitting there, listen to the speaker with different kind of music and find out what can be better. Make some criticisms, making some measurements again, try a little bit this, try a little bit this, but the whole basis of the system is fixed.
Very cool, very cool. Lastly, I wanted to ask you about the drop shape, kind of shape of the cabinet. You mentioned that it's very important for standing waves, and you believe that is the best cabinet structure. And I can see that even in your top of the line, dark speakers, you use the same kind of drop shape. Why is it that this shape is particularly good for sound waves inside?
There are some reasons for that. We made it's about 15 years ago, we made just a cooperation with some people from the university in Stuttgart, because they have some really fine tools like FEM, finite element method. And I said to them, which shape of such a speaker is the best for acoustics? And then they came up with this shape. Because, there is no edges here, so there is no reflections or diffraction effects. And also, this shape is just allowing a very, very high stability. It's made of wood, but if you lie it down, you can drive with your car over it. It doesn't break. It's so stiff and so fixed. So that's really the trick. Many, many options. There are many, many reasons why we have it. And you see, we have it in all our lines, from Arcona, from the beginner line to the dark. It's always the same. We have this drop-shaped cabinet because of stability and acoustical effects.
And I remember that the crossover is all using quality parts from Germany, right? Yeah. And also, I understand that the speakers are manufactured in Germany as well, right? The cabinet and all. Yeah,
just the piano finish. We cannot do in our company. We have a partner company in Poland, and they are making pianos since 200 years now, and they make a perfect piano finish. And so it's always a cooperation between us and them for the finish. But the rest of the thing is just always made by us or some other companies in Germany like Mundorf, Intertechnik, or WBT. So we try to have the highest and best components available on the world market. And the rest is done by ourselves. We make all the PCBs by ourselves. Oh, wow. Our women, they just put all the components in the PCBs, solder it by hand, and then everything is checked with a computer system so that all the parts coming in are really perfect. And then when we mount it, we make the next measurement, and we always listen to every speaker leaving our company.
And where in Germany is your factory located? Because I would love to visit sometime if I'm around.
That's easy. It's between Mercedes-Benz and Porsche. 10 kilometers to the left is Porsche, and 10 kilometers to the right is Mercedes-Benz.
Wow.
In Stuttgart, in Germany, southern part of Germany.
And of course, team from Accuphase was there. In fact, the head engineer and the owner was at my place before Expona to do a deep dive podcast, so I encourage you to watch that video to learn more about Accuphase and what they're doing differently. In the room, Koei-san, who is in charge of international marketing, gave me a good rundown of what was in the system with the Gauder Akustik speakers. All incredibly impressive pieces, including their flagship monoblocks. But of course, I wanted a scoop on the new Accuphase E3000 integrated amplifier. And most importantly, how are you doing with your jet lag from Japan?
Just sleeping in the frame or something like that, and just wake up, Yeah.
And actually, I heard a little rumor that you have a little surprise here. Do you want to talk about the surprise?
Of course.
Is it in this room?
Yeah, of course. It's not outside, so.
Oh, okay. Let's go over there.
Outside
Then.
together.
Yeah. Let's take a look.
Okay, now I give you a surprise that this is the one, E3000, just coming up right now. Okay, this is our totally brand new integrated amplifier. I can say this is a successor of E280, and I also can say this is a successor of E380. We combined that together and made it as E3000. Okay, so this would be our new standard, pretty new standard, because this is really a compact integrated amp, but this is a very powerful, high performance, high reliability integrated amp.
So how does this one differ from like the E8000 that released not that too long ago as well, right?
Yeah, the big difference is we enhance the power supply, and also output power. Okay, this can output 100 watt into 8 ohm load, and also this can output 150 watt, even 4 ohm load. Okay, the impedance goes down. Okay, this can drive totally, completely any kind of speakers like.
So it's just like the monoblocks in the room, this can like drive speakers down to like 1 ohms from my understanding, right?
Yes, yeah, of course this one has if you compare to that kind of a big power supply, of course this one is small, but I bet this can be drive any type of speakers like Gauder Akustik.
So I'm gonna put you a little bit on the spotlight here. Which is better, the E8000 or the E3000? If I wanted to buy one, what would you recommend?
E800, you mean crash amp?
Yeah.
E800 crash amp. Yeah, actually the Class A and Class AB, everybody asks us that which one is better, Class A or Class AB, but I can say that it's a preference.
Because this is the Class AB and then the E8000 is Class A, right?
Yeah, so if you want more power and more big sound, very high power sound, high speed sound, probably you should choose this one. Okay, if you warm sound, you don't need output power, you need very warm and clear and focused sound in your listening room, then you should choose a Class A amp like E800.
Perfect. Thank you, Takaya-san.
Yeah.
So there you have it, folks. That was the Accuphase and the Gauder Akustik room run by Access Audio in United States. I hope you guys had a chance to check out this room because it was really, really amazing sounding. And let me know in the comment section, I'm planning a big trip towards the end of this year. Let me know if you want me to visit Gauder Akustik in Germany and Accuphase in Japan. I may add that to my trip if this video gets, let's say, 5,000 likes. I'll definitely consider it, so smash that like button and I'll see you guys on my next video. Until next time.